you've had a few days to reflect on events at Loftus. What was the general feeling?
For us, it was obviously we were disappointed with the loss, but on the flip side of that, I look at it from a positive point of view. You know, we come to a tough place. The Bulls, obviously, a very good team, very well run outfit. You know they're going to bring with that physicality, and to be fair to us, I thought we fronted up really well. You look at how they ended up scoring their tries. It probably quite a few of them stem from our mistakes. And that's something that we've reflected on this week, and we know that we need to cut that out to give ourselves a chance to win, because, you know, even though we lost that game, we still managed to score those 4 tries, which is really crucial for us. You know, so we are a team that has the ability to score tries, but we just obviously need to make sure that we prevent the opposition from doing so.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I was doing the Dragons game on Sunday, and Di Flan was saying pretty much what you're saying now. Just they score a try and then they wouldn't collect on the restart. I know that happened just before half time with yourselves. So how frustrating was that?
Yeah, it's a tough one. We spoke about it. We know, like, these South African teams, they try and blow you away really early on, and they try and get that 2-score lead, and then I think they try to hold on for it. You know, with us, we're a fit team, and we want to try and play for that full 80 minutes. So you look at the way that we score our tries. You know, we know we're going to go for the full 80. So what we can't do is allow teams to get that too far in front of us, because you end up chasing the game. And you know, it's like against these boys, if we start chasing, then it opens up the game a little bit too much.
How much inspiration do you gain from what you saw from that Cardiff game on Sunday?
Yeah, you know, to be fair to Cardiff, they look really hungry for it. You know, they come after the Sharks right from the off. They put a lot of pressure on them, forcing errors, and they were getting the rewards from it. I think it was probably uncharacteristic from the Sharks in the sense of how many errors they actually made. So I think that's something they're probably going to look at this week and reflect on. And I think they're going to come out all guns blazing. But from a Cardiff point of view, from a Welsh point of view, it's outstanding that someone can go over and get a W. So we would obviously want to try and emulate that as well and go there and try and get a W for ourselves.
I suppose it's a two-way thing. There'll be some nervousness amongst them. They've got rid of their coach. You know, things not going well last week. But as you've just mentioned, you're expecting them to hit back.
Yeah, you know, 35-0 get home. Obviously, they've had, like you said, the coach has gone from there. So yeah, we're expecting a reaction. You know, whether that's a change on the field or an attitude change from them. You know, they're going to come out all guns blazing, and you would expect that. You wouldn't expect anything different from them. So, you know, we know that. But from our point of view, with the group that we got, we know that we can more realistically just focus on ourselves, because as we've shown against the Bulls, when we get ourselves right, we can be a formidable outfit.
Yeah, and threatening out wide as well. I mean, you created some nice stuff, especially in that second half.
Yeah, we did. I think you looking back, you know, we obviously emphasised the focus on the breakdown. You know, the South African teams, they're going to come hard. They're big, they're physical. You know, they don't want you to get your game going. So for us to get our game up and running and create those opportunities and move these big boys around, like I said, we can be quite threatening, quite dangerous, and take the opportunities that present themselves. Like we created quite a few opportunities, and what's pleasing for us is that we're taking them. You know, that's something that we challenged ourselves on as a group, is the opportunities that we do create, let's go and finish them.
And how would you sum up? I mean, it's been a tough first part of the season for you, and games perhaps you lost, thinking about the Lions, Connacht at home. I know you've lost a lot of players for international duty, probably the most out of the teams, but I mean, how would you sum it up?
Yeah, good question. I think, you know, for us, we have 1 score away for us at the moment. It's there, you know, and it's going to just take a little bit just to turn us over the edge, and you know, we can start putting these results together and hopefully, you know, get a bit of consistency in those performances, which are going to give us those Ws that we want. I think, like you said, it's a little bit of a frustrating process at the earlier part of the season where, you know, we losing by 2 points, losing by 1 point. And these things that we know that are within our control as well. So regardless, with our international boys or with the boys that we have at the moment, because our lads are away, there is a consistency within the group that we know how we want to play. There's a style we want to play, and we just got to be true to that. And I'm sure if we stay consistent with it, we'll start turning these results around.
just a final one from me, if I may. And Mark was talking to Morgan Morris just now, and he epitomises the sort of the next generation of this Osprey squad. How exciting is it that there seems to be a nucleus of players that are the same age? I mean, I spoke to someone about Rhys Henry in the second half on the weekend, who was another one who showed up well.
Yeah, he's a 10 playing tight end, I think he is. He's an outstanding rugby player. He loves the ball in his hands. He's got a great rugby brain. But yeah, going back to this group, with the quality that we've got as well away with Wales, it's fantastic to work with these youngsters. They're like sponges. They've got a great attitude, and they always want to get better. So they always challenge themselves. They want to learn. They got quality around them as well, who are great mentors for these lads. And like you said, because of the nature of the group, they're very tight. They stick together, and they want to work hard for each other. So for them boys, is having the ability to perform and just sticking together. Because, like I said, we got to start turning results around.
Well, thanks, Rich. All the best for the weekend.
Right. Cheers, Matt. Thank you.
Rich, how much has Jack Walsh added to your attack then?
Hi, Mark. Yeah, Jack.
Hi.
He's a great prospect, Jack. He's a very threatening 10. He likes to run with the ball, as you can tell. He opens up things, he creates things around him. He's a great individual player, and he's a kid who wants to learn, and a kid who wants to lead as well. And I think he's been a great addition to our group.
Yeah, whose efforts also impressed you then against the Bulls last weekend? I didn't actually see the game. I was at the Cardiff match, the Wales game.
Yeah, so like for us, second half in particular, I think the majority of the group turned around, but a couple of standout performers, like you talked about with Rhys Henry, some of the boys in the front, Hugh Sutton, with Rhys Webb as well, having his experience and his attitude towards leading the players, and his defensive efforts were outstanding. And to be honest, it's more around that collective effort. We always have our sprinkling of stardust within the team, but for the young group of players, the ability to stick together and take ownership of their roles is brilliant. And, they're just growing from it and learning as a group.
So we spoke with Morgan earlier, as Kenneth was just saying. How have you been pleased as a group of coaches with Morgan's efforts this season?
He's a bit of a talisman for us, to be honest, Morgan Morris. He does probably most of his leading through actions. You see him on the pitch. He gives us go forward. He's very energetic. He likes to get his hands on the ball, and he's probably one of our main talisman. But he's within a good, like I said, I keep banging the drum about it, but he's within a good group of players, and we obviously want to try and get him on the ball as much as possible. But that's obviously within the right means as well. But yeah, he's been fantastic for us. He's been probably one of the most consistent players for us as well, and you can see that within his performances.
And yet, he's overlooked by Wales.
Yeah, that's not for me to decide on. All I can say is, he does really well for us. He keeps performing, he keeps putting his hands up, and I'm sure he'll get some recognition at some point if he keeps going in the right direction.
Richard, 15 players involved with Wales. Obviously, 2 of them are injured. Will you be calling any of those guys out to South Africa with you?
No, so with us, Mark, we got what we got out here at the moment. Because we got such a short turnaround. We're playing obviously on Friday night, but what we got out here is what we'll be going in with the game. And like you said, for us, it's just building on the last performance and making sure that these boys are prepped, ready to go for the week coming.
Di talked about, I know this is going to be a difficult one, mate, I appreciate that, but Di talked about the fact that there was an embargo on signing players and the uncertainty that was creating for players and staff, etc. Now, you've been a player, you know what this is. I know Morgan dealt with it very professionally, talking about that he had to keep his eyes on the prize, etc. But this is the reality. How difficult is it to manage that, and how do you keep the guys focused, even your own situation?
To truly answer that question, Simon and Mark, it's probably not for me to answer, but all I can say is that from my point of view, from a coaching level point of view, is that I'll do my very best to prepare these boys for the game on the weekend. We got to keep our focus diligently on what's in front of us. And at the moment, what's in front of us is the Sharks for Friday night. And, you know, those kinds of questions are above me. And I'm not afraid to say that. But at the same time, for these lads, like you said, we've got a young group and we need focus, especially if we want to start putting performances into Ws.
Just the last question from me then, you know, this time of the season with your internationals away, etc., how challenging is it for you as a region? You've had 15 guys away. How challenging is it for you?
You know what? It's actually brilliant because we get to see the young talent within the region. We have, like you spoke about already, we have a fantastic group of young players, and it's an opportunity for them to get out there and go and express themselves. You know, we're up against the best teams in the league, the South African teams. You know, they're big, they're strong, they're physical, and we want to test ourselves against that. And that's what these boys are here to do. You know, we can put out the best team that we got, and you know, we can put out our youngsters out there, and we just want to make sure that they got the buy-in of what we want to try to do, and let's go and do it. Let's go and back ourselves and get into them.
Any news on your injured players, Rich, like Gareth Anscombe, for instance?
No, nothing that I've heard of yet, Mark.
There we are. Hope it goes well, Rich, this weekend.
All right. Thank you, mate.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Rich, do you think people understand that the Ospreys in many ways are a victim of their own success at the moment?
I don't know, Simon. It's outside of our circle. That's for other people to answer. Well, like, I'll revert back to it. What we have got is a talented group of players. You know, we got some quality youngsters, and that proves. You look at Joe Hawkins right now. He got an opportunity to play against Australia. You know, and he done fantastically well. So, you know, what we are a region that's focused on producing quality, high performing quality. And if they get called up for Wales, and that's fantastic because obviously we're doing a good job here then.
Yeah, that obviously means in terms of fighting on two fronts, not just for the Ospreys but for Wales, that is a huge demand.
Of course it is, and it's not just on the Ospreys. That's on the Blues, it's on the Scarlets, it's on the Dragons. You know, everything goes up, doesn't it? You know, everything funnels up, and if your boys are doing well, then great. You know, then they go and do well, and then we got the quality and the youngsters behind, the same as all the other regions, and we just like focus on ourselves and do what we can do and put our best foot forward.
Tell me about Joe, Rich, because obviously impressive young man in many ways.
Yeah, he is. He's a great kid, mate. You know, he's explosive. He's powerful. He's got ball playing ability. You know, and for him to get an exposure at international level is fantastic for him. And you know, and I can't wait to get him back within our environment so he can show us what he's learned and how he felt about it, and obviously get him to dip his toe in with us as well then, and get into it, because I know with Joe he just wants to play. He loves rugby. So let's keep him thriving.
There would have been question marks about his selection there, Fuss, but you would know better than anybody else that was the kind of place, that's the environment that he wants to be in. There would have been question marks over that, but he answered all of those questions.
Yeah, he did, mate. You know, he's a young man. You know, he's got a bright future in front of him, and he did really well on the international stage. And I think for him, it's brilliant. You got the people like George North around him. You got people like Gareth Anscombe around him. You got high quality players, and a bloke like him as well. Those boys are coming back to us as well, which is great. So you know, that consistency for him is great. You know, I love the kid to death, and he tries hard. He's not one of these kids who's a little bit above his station. He's a great kid, got a great attitude, and regardless if he's playing for Wales or playing for the Ospreys, you know, he'll always want that ability to learn and to get better.
As an attack coach, you're in an interesting country now, because traditionally we talk about South African teams being the bomb squad, blah, blah, blah. But these days, the URC teams, it's the back three that is killing everybody. What kind of challenge is that?
In the sense of they are back three, Simon, you talking about?
Yeah, they're playing a different game in lots of ways to the national team.
Yeah, you look at the Sharks now, you look at the style they want to play. You look at when they, obviously from the weekend, when they played against the Blues, they have a style and they stick to that style. And they're very threatening. You can say about their back three being threatening, but they got outstanding players across the board, and they are good rugby players. Regardless of what team they're going to put out, they are quality rugby players. And you can see, you've seen the Bulls, they got, like last week, you look at some of the tries they scored against us, their ability to offload, stay connected to plays, you know, they can be very dangerous. What our challenge is to make sure that we don't give them opportunities to create havoc and to have things on their terms.
Got a very young squad out there, Fuss, but if there's something that they did learn was that they can compete. last weekend.
Yeah, mate. And that's been the message all week for us, is knowing that we can compete. We're out here to compete. And you know, from a physicality point of view, you know, we know that we can manage that. We just got to make sure for us is that we're in control of what we do, and we stick to our plan sign, and give us the best chance of putting a W up on the board then.
Webby, different class at the moment, mate. Not just, you know, the way he's leading that team with so many players missing.
Yeah, mate, he's been great for us, Reece, to be fair. You know, he's a quality player. His attitude has been spot on. You know, we're out in South Africa. Obviously, the weather's really warm. You know, some people could think, oh, you know, we're away on a bit of a trip. But no, you know, he's the guy who gets the boys in line and that understanding of we're here to do a job. And then he delivers on the training park then. You know, he leads really well on and off the field. And that shows in his performances. You know, and I think that second half, probably the way that he managed the field, kept us in the game, I thought was brilliant. You know, his defensive efforts have been outstanding for us as well.
He's been a revelation, hasn't he, in terms of that, in terms of the leadership skills? You know, Webby is a unique character, we'd say.
Yeah, I mean, he's been great. You know, I think he's been great. He's had like a second wind, new lease of life in with us. I think he thrives and he enjoys that responsibility as well. You know, I think you put it on him and he delivers. You know, he's the kind of guy that he thrives under pressure.